You are now entering the mind of one of rock's greatest musicians, a former singer of Styx. The exclusive podcast, Come Sail Away, with Dennis DeYoung.
Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me.
Hey kids, Dennis DeYoung here. Oh, it's getting to be that time of year, right around the corner, any minute now. You know what it is. That's right, it's Christmas, you know that. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. There I am. I'm sitting in my bedroom right here in my house down here in the Sunshine State. We came down a couple days ago to spend Christmas down here with my daughter. And my 91-year-old mother-in-law, Connie's coming in. My son's coming down with his girlfriend and Carrie Ann's boyfriend, Mark. We're going to have a nice Christmas right here down in the Sunshine State. People ask me, Dennis, where? If you live in Florida? No, not really. I split time. They say, where do you live? I said, I live in Fake Lakes, Florida. Have you ever seen it? Yeah, that's where I live. You don't know Fake Lakes, Florida? Come on. I'm living in Fake Lakes, Florida. Fake Lakes, Florida. Be careful of the sunburns, and all the turns are U-turns. That's right. Ever been to Florida? Every turn is a U-turn. Oh, my God. And the lights, they're not long. I'm not going to say they're long, but, man, you could do Gone with the Wind just waiting. So anyway, I'm down here. It's nice. The weather's, of course, beautiful, and we're looking forward to a really happy and joyous Christmas. And to everybody else who doesn't celebrate Christmas this time of the year, I'd like to say happy holidays. You name it. Whatever it is. I don't care. Is it Hanukkah? Kwanzaa? Name it. I'm with you. Have a good time. Life's short, so you might as well enjoy it. That's what I tell you right now. So what about Christmas? Well, what are we going to do down here? Well, there'll be some sort of, excuse me, I think I just almost swallowed my tongue. There'll be a feast. Suzanne is always really good at putting out this huge spread. I mean, nothing worth doing is worth overdoing as far as she's concerned, but the food will be incredible. And she'll be serving one thing that she's learned to make. She's been an incredible cook ever since we got married. And she's learned to make this new thing. She's made it. She makes creme brulee. Have you ever had the creme brulee? I'm asking you, have you had it? Oh, my God. I know who invented this. This was invented by Frenchmen, I do believe, since it says creme brulee and there's an accent grave at the end. That's your first clue. But what it is, I believe it was invented by weight loss doctors and dentists, French ones, because this is nothing but fat and sugar. That's all it is. Two of my favorite food groups, fat and sugar. Let's get that into my mouth as soon as I can. So after all the other food has been eaten, you can sit down, and there's this little thing. It's a little cup. They're never big enough. Otherwise, you'd have a stroke. There's a little cup there, and what it is some sort of concoction of cream. There's a whole process. I've gone through it, watched her do it. And then at the end, they put sugar on the top, and sometimes a little brown sugar gets mixed in there if you like. And then they kind of they take this basically this blowtorch and they fire up the sugar so it gets a little bit of a crust and it's cold on the top, and you crack it like a soft boiled egg. Crack. The little sugar breaks up, and then you dig in, and then you put that concoction into your mouth. I'm hungry. Anyway. That's what's going to be going on down here. I'm in a jovial mood today, as you can tell. No moaning about anything today. It's going to be all positive stuff because, honest to God, the year we have had as Americans, the whole thing is flipped upside down on us. None of us really know what to make of it. So on these few days we have at the end of the year, we should count our blessings and remember, the one thing that's most important. It sounds corny. It's a cliche. And healthy people never listen, but it's health. It's always health first, and then everything else follows. If you've got good mental and physical health, good grief, count your blessings, go forward with that, and then other good things may occur. Now, as far as giving presents, between my wife and I, we used to exchange presents, and then it was always a contest, one way or another, to surprise the other one. You're with me, married couples, and even people if you're not. They expect, somebody's expectations are sometimes higher than others to be surprised. I never thought you'd get me that, But normally what happens is you do your very best to get what you think they're going to want, either partner, and the day they open it up, for one fleeting instant, when they see what it is, you catch something in their expression that tells you clearly you goofed. This is not exactly what it should be. And then there's that pretend period where you feign. That's a fancy word for, pretend. You feign, oh, this is swell, like when you get that tie that you just hate or whatever it is you get. So as I look back in the history of gift giving, to me at Christmas, a couple stand out. One, my Aunt Mary and my Uncle Louie, years ago when I was very young, they don't even remember doing this because I've talked to them since. They're still alive. They're in their 90s. They're the last bunch of the family that's still breathing air here. They got me a Robin Hood's castle. Okay, like with little toy Robin Hood men and there's the sheriff of Nottingham, the bad guys. But it was made of like tin metal, all hand painted with the moat and the drawbridge. I mean, a present like that from my aunt and uncle, it was like unbelievable. I was stunned. And then another, my parents got me a Fanner 50 for all those people old enough to remember. It was like a gun, right? Where you go flap, flap, flap. Where you take not the handle, but the trigger, and you can, fan it and make it shoot fast. But they were in such demand, and my parents didn't really have much money, that they bought me the gun without the holster. So I used to run around and, carry it in my shirt, and then I rip a button on my shirt. Anyway, and then the greatest present I think I got as an adult was my wife, Suzanne, took my dad's watch. It was a 1939 Gruen, not an expensive watch, that he had worn all through World War II, that my mother had given him before he went overseas. So, and it was inscribed on the back, love, to Maury, love Lorraine. And so it'd been sitting in this drawer, and she went and got it and had it completely refurbished, hand-painted the dial. It was stunning. And when I opened it up, it was, it was such a crazy surprise to me that I was overwhelmed with emotion. And so I treasured that thing. There is a sad ending to this story. I lost it. Yeah. I travel. I think you've heard of this. You see me from time to time in your city. Well, I travel to get there. And I lost it in a hotel room. I don't know where it is. And since that time, I have refused to wear anything expensive on the road. The watches I buy are cheaper watches. So because I'm heartbroken over it, absolutely. And there is one other gift, funny, and I'm not really that into time that much, except when I'm playing in the band. My wife and my kids, they pitched in to get me a really special watch to replace my dad's watch, and it was it's a watch. I'm never sure how they pronounce this. I think it's Jaeger LeCoultre, which is they're famous for a watch that's called the Reverso, where when you flip the little thing over, it's two watch faces, so you can send them in different times, but it magically flips over. It's the coolest watch. Google it sometime. They bought me that. And that was quite unexpected. In fact, it's right here on the bed next to me right now. I wear it whenever I'm not on the road. I wear that watch. So, but as far as gifts go between my wife and I, because of guys like you and gals who are out there, still supporting me. Not even in the band I founded, but you come out and see me in concert. You buy my CDs, the T-shirts. You've been so good to me all these years that you have afforded me a lifestyle, honest to God, that I could have never imagined. And so what happens when you get to a certain point in your life, you realize that your needs for material things, they go by the wayside partially because you've gotten a fair amount of material things. And so you feel, and so in the last couple of years, maybe it's been the last 5-6 years, Suzanne and I, we don't exchange presents anymore. She says, "What do you want?" I says, "I got everything I want. So I don't really want anything." And she feels the same way, which is it's a good, because it takes the burden off of that face you see Christmas morning. Remember the face I mentioned? What is this? Anyway, Christmas to me has, in some ways, the funny thing about Christmas, it's most wonderful when children are involved, because you see in their faces something that you could never see in the face of an adult. You see that all things are possible, and every kind of a dream can come true. It's a magical time, especially if there's grandchildren and children around. It's great. But if I find the older I get, So many of the people that I loved and cherished and spent these Christmases with, they're gone. They're gone. And those times, they're just not coming back. That's all that's all there is to it. So the enthusiasm that I used to have for Christmas, can't wait to put up the tree, and the feeling, it's funny, but you realize right away that it was never about presents. It was never about the tree or the decorations. It was about the ability that you would have to spend time with people you love and you care about, friends and family. I know there's an awful lot of jokes done about when families get together. It's some kind of horrific situation because people don't like each other. By and large, in my family, we really liked each other, and the ones we didn't like, we tolerated. This is the way life goes. So it wasn't a bad situation, and I guess I do pine for those days as compared to these days when we're all adults and we sit around. We've had our Christmases, and it isn't quite the same thing. But I know one thing I still like to do at Christmas time is to cry my way through It's a Wonderful Life, which I took a couple of years off from it. I don't know what it is about that movie. I think it reminds me a little bit of either a real or imagined childhood. And my dad, was the Jimmy Stewart type of guy who really cared about his family and had very few wants and needs for himself. A guy I missed desperately for the last 20-odd years or so. It's been 20 years, I think. Yeah, it's 20 years this year he's been gone. But so I would cry because there were so many things in there. Let's face it. Frank Capra, the director of It's a Wonderful Life, wildly sentimental. It likes to pay. It's like the Norman Rockwell in some ways of motion pictures, particularly in the 30s and early 40s, and it's such a hopeful, optimistic view of an America. An America, I think, even if it wasn't true, a lot of parts of it were true. They just were, to me, as I remember and I recollect. So here's hoping that the spirit of Christmas is enjoyed by all of you out there with your family and friends, even the ones you can't tolerate too much. You figure out a way to get through it. And remember, these moments, they pass, and you don't get them back. So we should, take care to appreciate them when they occur. So once again, happy holidays to all you people out there, and I'm hoping for all of us that the universe is spinning in our direction. Cheers, Dennis.
Enlightening? Perhaps. Entertaining? Always. Thanks for listening to the podcast Come Sail Away with Dennis DeYoung. Get the next new episode Friday morning at 7 a.m. on this website.